Hello, everybody. This is Jake Stenziano, host of Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, the chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Mr. Stenziano, I'm doing good. Got the pink on for you today, wherever color this is. I'm in Florida. Got white in the background.
Dude, it's been very feminine lately. I'm not worried about you. I think we're good, but I'm saying the Florida trip has definitely seen your softer side. And I got the new background going. Little shade, got to work on the lighting, but we're going to get there. So, anywho, today's guest is the founder of Freedom Fast Lane. Love the alliterations. I'm keeping up with it here. Ryan Moran. Freedom Fast Lane is a group of passionate entrepreneurs who love sharing their knowledge and skills with others to help them achieve their wildest dreams. So, without further ado, Ryan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, who wrote that intro and sent it to you? Because I need to fire them.
I didn't get one. I took it off the website, man. Come on, man.
But whoever wrote that website copy, I'm gonna fire them as soon as we hang up.
Listen,
you guys get together. You guys both make it happen.
No, I mean, the fact that Gino and I are even on the show right now and can figure out how to use Skype, we're not tech guys, so bear with us, man. All right. But now look at it like this. You can go back, edit the site a little bit, and we can take it from there. So, anyways.
It just shows you don't need to be tech savvy to be successful, right?
Ow! I love it. So let's get this thing kicked off. Tell us about your background. Tell us how you got started, and you know what? Give us the intro that we should have had there. So
yeah. So I mean, I call myself the founder of Capitalism.com.
Oh, even better. All right, my man.
Entrepreneurs solve problems better than government can. We believe that the best thing that you could do for yourself, your family, your community, and the world is to be incredibly successful and for the government to stay out of your way. And I think that entrepreneurship is the best gift that you can give to the world. And so I consider it a privilege to talk to people who are investors and who build businesses. I started because I wanted to be one of you guys. I was
Come on board, man.
Dork and a nerd in college and high school and read real estate books on the weekends. So I just wanted to invest in real estate. I started a business. I got into the internet world because I wanted to invest in real estate because I was fascinated by your world. My strategy evolved when I was in college because when I was in college, I was both starting a business. I was an economics student during the financial meltdown. It was from 2006 to 2009, and it was a presidential race. So those three things all happened at the same time and changed the way that I viewed the world because I was operating from those three lenses all at the same time. So I started Capitalism.com because through that process and that kind of mental incubation, if you will, I developed the belief that the way that we're going to solve problems, the way that we're going to create jobs, the way that we're going to create solutions is through more freedom and entrepreneurship and not through trying to use a top-down solution that came from the right guy or the right girl sitting in the White House. So I think we just need more empowered individuals. I made my money in physical products brands. So I made my money developing physical products, mostly selling them on Amazon and developing marketing systems around selling those products on the internet. But I invest all my profits into real estate. I invest it into cash flowing stock. I invest into other places that we can talk about. But I made my money in business and now I invest it into other places and I spend my time trying to make more entrepreneurs.
So you just mentioned, man, I got so much to talk to you about now because no, it's great. So number one, this is a few questions and let's do the closed-ended one first. Have you read Atlas Shrugged?
Of course.
Oh man, we're gonna have to talk after the show. We'll go deep on that. So we're making a connection right now. You touched on real estate. What kind of real estate are you investing in now? And just elaborate on your real estate investments real quick.
Yeah, personally, I invest in single family houses.
Got it.
And look, real estate's a business, right? So my buddy Jay Massey likes to say, behind every investment there is a business, and real estate is a business, and sometimes we like to talk about it as like a side hustle, but it's a business. So when times are bad, anyone can find good deals. So for me, when the market really crashed, I bought a lot of single families. Today, I, as a passive investor, am not going to I'm not going to beat you guys at getting to the multifamily deals or even the single family deals. So I now invest in syndications. I invest with funds. I am the capital partner behind people like you And that's how I invest right now when the market is really good. But during not so good times, I'll buy single families and build that portfolio. But right now, the prices are too high to scare me as a secondary investor.
But Ryan, I think the important thing though is if you wanted to become a multifamily investor, you could. It's just that I don't think that's your big why, correct? I think your big why is more to help create more entrepreneurs and more millionaires through your capitalism.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll say my business is never going to be multifamily real estate. It's not my expertise, or at least in like the next 5 years, right? Maybe in 5 years, my life completely changes and that does become my primary business. But in the meantime, I still invest in real estate, but I think as a capital partner, it'd be silly for me to think I'm better than you guys. I'm better than the people who listen to the show and that this is their primary focus. So I back those people financially because I know how to make cash, but I make it in my businesses. I don't make it in real estate. So my investment is real estate where I'm backing people and I'm backing deals.
So how did you get into the physical products business back then? Because back then that was not the big thing. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon now, but I guess you're visionary. So.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I got into the physical products world because I was tired of doing what I was doing, which was being mostly a personal brand. So when I was in college, the way that I paid for college was I don't think other people saw it this way, but I felt like I was one of those skeezy internet salesmen that was selling whatever info course I possibly could and doing affiliate marketing. So I did blogs and had email lists, and I had search engine optimization clients, and I did anything that would make money, right? Mm-hmm. And looking back, I developed an immense skill set, but I hated doing what I was doing. Building a business, there's a very distinct difference between building a business and managing cash flows. Those are completely different things. I was developing things that were cash flows, but I did not have a real business. I wanted to make that pivot from I knew how to sell things to I wanted to build something bigger than myself. So I started physical products brands because it seemed like the complete opposite of what I had been doing and really forced me to build something bigger than myself. So I started a company called Sheer Strength Labs. If we tilt the camera a little bit, you can actually see a display of some of the products that we had at Sheer Strength. I've sold a majority stake in that, and I'm now a minority owner in Sheer Strength. But I also had a yoga products company that I built and sold. I had a supplement company called Body Vega Nutrition, which is currently being rebranded. And I also buy physical products businesses. I recently acquired a beauty company called Fox Brim Naturals. So I build and start physical products businesses. I buy them just like you'd buy real estate. And I've always kind of thought like a deal maker. So I'm building and selling them. I'm often buying them. But I started it because I wanted something bigger than myself, and you can't really sell a personal brand, and I found that to be exhausting anyway.
So what are you looking for when you buy? Because this is very similar to real estate. It's basically, we look at about the numbers. We try not to overpay. We try to look for motivated individuals. We try to look for something that there's a value we can add. What are the parameters you're looking for? Yeah,
I'm looking for an opportunity where I can apply my skill set and my systems and immediately change the business. So I'm looking for somebody who has done something that I'm weak at, and they've done it really well. And if I can bring in my skill set and apply it to that existing business, and that business skyrockets as a result, that's a great deal for me. So if I'm really solid at email marketing and I'm really good at Amazon, those are the two areas where I know them, I get them, I can add 7 figures to pretty much any business that does not have fully optimized email systems and marketing on Amazon.com. So if I apply that to a business that I purchase, I can vastly skyrocket the value of that business very quickly. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at for them to have certain foundations in place and for my skill set to apply to it.
So now we're struggling right now, Jake and I, because we bought a property about 2.5 years ago, and it's elevated so much in value. What do you look for when you want to sell a business? Because we're saying, should we sell it? We have the ability to refinance, pull the money out tax-free, so that's one of our strategies. Yep. What are you looking for when you want to sell it? Because I heard you just recently sold a company a couple weeks ago, correct?
Yeah, it's been about 6 weeks. I sold a majority stake in Sheer Strength, which is a big day because now I can say that I've received 8 figures in cash. for businesses that I have sold. So that was a cool milestone for me.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. So my best friend in the world, his name is Mark Jenny. He and I have talked a lot about this. When is the time to get out? Because he has built and sold and a couple companies, and we look at each other like, at what point do you make that decision? And his advice was, you sell when times are really good, not when there's a problem. So if everything is great, that might be a time to start thinking about taking some chips off the table. So I'll tell you this, I'm in total sales mode right now. Like we could be in the middle of a huge boom. We could be at the end of a huge boom. No one knows, but no one ever went broke selling things for profit. So I have very rarely regretted selling things too early, but I have many times regretted waiting too long. Mm-hmm. Now, so that was Mark's advice. My advice, the way that I analyzed it was, I said, there's an ROI on happiness. And I think the happiness that I will receive by selling this thing now and it freeing up my life to put my energy into other things that make me happy will ultimately make me more money. I know that was a convoluted way of saying it, but the energy that will be freed up by me selling this thing will actually have a higher return than if I were to just continue holding the asset and hope that it appreciates. So the determining factor for me was I sold the business because I wanted to have that energy of now being freed up. I don't have to worry what's in the bank. There's enough in there. And I can just focus on the things that are going to drive my businesses and my mission and my message forward. And there's actually a higher ROI to that anyway. So that's how I made the decision. Mark was more quantitative and mine was more touchy-feely, I guess.
I know you read that in a book. Somewhere in a book I read that specific exact example, and I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense to me. So, I mean, I love that definition. You know what's cool about what you're doing, though? What's amazing is almost like Henry Ford. You can lose all your money, you can get rid of all your money, but you have the skill to get back up and to continue to do it again. You could pick up and start another business, which to me is frankly amazing. I guess if Jake and I lose a property, we still have the skill set where we can actually go out, analyze another deal, and buy another deal. So I guess speak to that. I mean, how did you get started? Where did you start your education on learning all about business?
When I was 15, I heard my mom crying in the other room because I had broken the washing machine. And it was a $50 repair. And for whatever reason, that stuck with me because I was working a minimum wage. I was working at Dunkin' Donuts in high school. And I couldn't understand why my mom was so upset about a $50 repair. And I think it was just because she was frustrated that there was another month in which she was short. And she was just frustration. It wasn't about the $50. It was just about the feeling. And so I just made this decision that I would never be stressed about a broken washing machine. And I didn't know how I was going to get there. I would not be taken down. Washing machines were not taking me out. And at Dunkin' Donuts, I had a customer give me a copy of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that's when the one line that actually, there were two lines that stuck with me from that book. One was that 10% of the people make 90% of the wealth, and that's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean the pie's any smaller for everyone else. It just means that 10% of people actually care enough to go make 90% of the wealth. So one of the things, like, it never crossed my mind, like, oh, that means that other people are going to be poor. No, it just means I got to go create my own pie, and I want to go get as much of that as possible. That was the first thing. But the other thing was that the way that you get wealthy, according to Robert Kiyosaki, is to go acquire cash-producing assets. And that's what my life became about. My financial strategy was about acquiring cash-producing assets and using that cash to go buy more assets. And that became my long-term strategy. So I looked for that in a variety of different ways. What I ultimately decided the strategy would boil down to would be building businesses that I believed in and investing those profits into other cash flowing assets like real estate, dividend paying stock, funds, and the other things that we talked about.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because now the question of the hour is, what is the secret to life?
Whoa, where's this coming from? I thought this was a real estate show.
I love his website.
We're getting woo, man. We're going too woo for me here, but all right, bring it in.
Dude, I went on there. I mean, what I love about it is the passion that you see in the video, because he shot a nice video about it, and I mean, it's just, you know what? He's engaged. It's engaging to listen to him, and you want to sign up with him. So I love that video about it. I want him to explain exactly to him what that secret to life to him means.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the cherry before I give you the story. I think the secret to life is appreciation and relationships. So at the end of the day, I have this theory, guys. I have this theory that everything that we do ultimately comes down to some desire to connect. At the end, like, why do I work out sometimes twice a day? Because at some level, I think that people are going to want to connect with me more if I have abs. Or I'm going to want to connect with myself more if I have abs. But at the end of the day, why do I really want to be rich? So that I want to be free, so that I can do what? I think just connect with other people and myself. So I think at some level, everything that we do is seeking some sort of connection and or relationship. And the way our brains are wired, like, we're wired to survive. We're not wired to be happy. People think that just we're made to be happy and we get things in the way. Actually, we're made to survive, and that's why our brains constantly find problems. So no matter how successful you get or how free you get, your brain is trained to look for problems. So if you don't pause and actually appreciate where you've come from, what you have, what's in front of you, your brain will naturally go to what's wrong. And so I think the secret to life in terms of enjoyment and happiness is relationships and appreciation. The way I tell this story and the video that you're referencing is I paint this picture of, imagine for a second that you had cancer and it was bad and you only had a few months to live. And so you wrap up your affairs, and as you wrap up your affairs and you get ready to die, you go in for your 3 or 6 month checkup, and your doctor tells you that they can't find the cancer anymore, that it's gone. Go live your life and be happy. At first, there is like this blissful release of, I can take this presence and this appreciation that I have cultivated, and now I can extend it over my entire life. But what naturally happens is our brains trick us, and they say, well, all right, I guess I can kick that can down the road a little bit, and now I'm going to find more problems. You were just given a clean bill of health. Like, if you don't wake up in debilitating pain, you won the freaking lottery, because we're already among the richest people in history, the healthiest people in history. We're in the longest time of peacetime ever. We should be waking up freaking out about how amazing life is every day, but we usually find the problems. So just like waking up to a clean bill of health after being given a death sentence, we're all walking around with that on a constant basis. We're all walking around with like this unlimited abundance, and we can do anything. So we might as well consciously decide what we want our lives to look like, and we might as well practice appreciation for everything that we have. Otherwise, when are we done? When have we arrived? And maybe I'm a fool, but I'm a happy fool as a result of practicing that belief.
So now that you know the secret to life, I want to pivot into your business, actually, because I know Jake doesn't like the woo-ha stuff.
No, it's good, man. Listen, 100% agree. You know, best time in history, right? We're extremely wealthy. We got great technology. Life is good, right? No doubt. I'm with you.
And Jake also promised. I also promised Jake that I wouldn't talk about Trump or politics on the show, so we'll leave that for off camera. So.
Well, it might be 2 against 1 on that.
Okay, well let's shoot then. I mean, I'm down here in Florida, so the Trump crew's down here. It's a big Trump place down here. I'm from New York. I just moved down here about 6 weeks ago. So I figured out the secret to life. What really resonated with that video to me was, I had a little bit of a health scare a couple months ago, but I was already down that path, and I came down here to Florida because I just wanted something different. I wanted to go fishing with my kids, biking, kayaking, that whole thing. Yeah. And I already seen that. So I come down here, and New York is such different politics, and you come down here, it's all Trumpers down here. There's a lot of people down here. A lot of people don't like to talk about it. Which way did you vote for, and what do you see the current, political, what's going on in politics nowadays?
I mean, I believe in principles, not not parties.
Mm-hmm.
So I voted for Democrats, I voted for Republicans, I voted for other parties too.
Mm-hmm.
No spin zone, baby. You got to answer it. You got to answer it. He hits you. Come on, step up.
In the last election, I voted for a different party. I voted for Gary Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I voted third party. I think more government, regardless of how you define it, whether that means more war or more defense, or that means more government programs to take care of the least of these, I think that they end up doing more harm than they do good.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last election, I saw two people packaging up more government and selling it in a different way. And I just don't agree with the idea of the government being able to solve our problems, whether that is solving people who are hurting financially, or that is solving the problems of us not being great in the world and not having great standing. I don't think that government can do that. So I went third party with my vote in the last election because I believe in principle and policy rather than party. I have voted for more Republicans than I voted for Democrats, but I voted for both. But ultimately, I believe that free people and that liberty is the best thing that we can pursue, not whose minute change to how government is going to impact our life is better than the other person.
So that's why I ended up in Tennessee. It's true.
That's funny. I was in Tennessee 48 hours ago. I have family property in Tazewell.
So that's I'm in Knoxville. So that's it's north. I mean, I'm from New York as well. And as I got out of college, I'm like, this doesn't work. Like these economics don't work. And I love out of all 50 states, I think I'm like top 3 in terms of economic freedom. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So now that you talked about secret of life and political affiliations, I agree with all that. What is your, how can you teach people? Because I see you've helped over 100 people with, million, 7-figure businesses. How do you help people build a business? And I definitely want you to dive into your 3 main programs also.
Yeah, for sure. So I know 100% that we've created over 100 7-figure businesses. I actually think the number is more like 400 or 500. But I can write on a piece of paper 100 7-figure businesses that we've had that have come from our students or people who have followed us. And our strategy is super simple. It's identify a group of people, and that can be people like you, or it can be moms, or it can be survivalists, or it can be cyclists. We identify 3 to 5 products that those people buy, physical products that they're already buying. We package them up for that group of people. We start on Amazon.com releasing those products. We also work in places like Kickstarter, sometimes Walmart. Then we have retail partners that will come in and take those products into retail, or we have people who are just really good internet marketers who pick up those products and start to sell them. But our plan is a 12-month plan for releasing physical products and taking them to about a 7-figure business. And it looks like this. First, you get your product up on Amazon.com, selling about 25 units a day. Once you're at about 25 units a day, which takes about 3 months, you roll that across 3 to 5 products until you're at 100 units a day. And at that point, you got $1 million business.
And that's gross, right, Ryan?
Yeah, that'd be gross, right? Profit margins on a physical products business are usually between 30 and 50%, depending on what it is that you're selling. So that business can then be sold at that point. It can be grown. The model that most of our students seem to take is grow it to between $3 and $10 million, sell the business, and then either invest the profits or start another business. That tends to be the model that most people make. But I have found that a physical products brand, I think, is the most predictable path to a 7-figure business. A really good example that I like to use is, are you guys familiar with the guys at Black Rifle Coffee? Do you know that brand?
No.
So Black Rifle Coffee is literally coffee for conservative men. Like their ad is a guy polishing a gun saying, like, you don't support those liberals at Starbucks, do you?
Dude, you got to get some of this from my grandfather. I'm telling you right now, he'd love this.
Yeah, buy it, right? Because it's speaking to his beliefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you don't support those liberals at Starbucks. You should support us, or don't. We don't really care. Like, that's their commercial. You should buy our coffee because we're like you. Now, there's a girl in our office. Her name is Marusha. And Marusha has a coffee company called Perky Perky. It's got a girl with her hair tied back. Yeah, there you go. And Perky Perky coffee is is made for moms.
Oh,
like
man.
Who just want to get perked up in the morning.
Okay,
right?
man, you're leading me down another path, and I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, I saw where your brain was going.
Come on, man.
Hey, this could be your coffee line if you'd like. Be a great dating strategy. Serve that market and then hold a conference for your customers. But same product, right? Coffee for moms, coffee for men polishing their rifles. Right?
That sounds awful when you say it like that, by the way.
What's that?
Nothing. Moving on.
It could be the exact same coffee.
Yeah.
But it's branded to a different audience, a different group of people, and both of them are super successful businesses. So that's how we've been able to create so many million-dollar businesses, with some of them selling the exact same products because they're targeting different groups, and you don't need that many customers to have $1 million business. So in 5 minutes or less, that's how we've created so many millions.
So what mistakes do you see? Because I always like to focus on what mistakes they make, other than trying to contact you and trying to get some type of recipe or some type of framework. What are the really big mistakes you see when people fail in this space?
The thing that makes people fail is when they try to do it exactly like someone else did it, thinking that is the formula. So you get somebody who sells an iPhone case, and they say, well, if that guy's selling an iPhone case, I can sell an iPhone case. So they sell the exact same iPhone case at the same price and just expect people to choose them. And you know what? Actually, sometimes that works. But about 80% of the time, that becomes about, all right, well, who's going to advertise more aggressively? Who's going to give away more products so they can get more reviews? Who's going to game this system more? Because they're selling the exact same thing. Where in reality, you could reposition the exact same product to a different demographic and have no competition and charge more money and have loyal customers and have a sellable business that has no threats of outside people. So trying to directly copy someone else rather than bringing some newness to the market, and it doesn't need to be newness that you created. Like, one of my favorite stories is how Coors Light became a household name in beer. Coors Light was struggling financially until I think it was about 15 years ago. They brought in a marketing team, and the marketing team analyzed their process of how they make the beer. And they said, we have the line for you. It's triple hops brewed. And they're like, we can't do that. Everybody's beer is triple hops brewed. And they said, yeah, but no one else says it. And as a result of them saying it, they became a household name in beer, and their sales skyrocketed. So it doesn't necessarily need to be you bringing anything new to the marketplace as much as it is highlighting some differentiating factor or a belief or targeting a different group that has never benefited from your product in the past, and immediately that can be $1 million business.
So you've seen a lot of guys become successful. On the flip side of it, what qualities do you see that make people successful in business?
I think the biggest quality in a person that's going to be successful is how long-term they can think. So I am willing to punt the next 10 years of my life to figure out and build the audience and the army of people who believe in capitalism and believe in entrepreneurship, so that 10 years from now we can put a business on the map with a blog post, or we can swing an election with an endorsement because there's so many people who follow us. I'm willing to take the next 10 years, putting every dollar and every ounce of my energy into doing that, because 10 years there's going to be a payoff of what I want my mission and my vision to be. Most people will say, if I don't get a result for 10 days, here'd be a great example. When I was in college, people used to come up to me. Now, I gave up partying on the weekends. I didn't have a sip of alcohol until I graduated college. Like, I was not popular in college. I didn't have much of a social life. I was building my business on my nights and my weekends every weekend. I would hold these little meetups, like these little workshops for all my friends, be like, how do you make money on the internet? How are you paying for college? How is it that you're about to graduate with $100,000 in the bank? And I'll hold these like little meetings in my dorm room where I would show people what I was doing. I kid you not. We broke one of the workshops. 30 minutes later, someone comes back in my room and goes, dude, I haven't made any money yet. Like, it's been 30 freaking minutes. Is this a joke? Right? So I am willing to take the next decade of my life to go build what I want my mission and message to be. Now, I'm a freak. I take on the biggest challenges ever. Like I want 100 million people to know capitalism.com so we can swing elections. We want to change the course of where we're going. But to not be willing to punt a year or 6 months or 3 years to be able to achieve the result that you want, that's why most people just don't have what it takes, especially now when we're constantly distracted and interrupted every 5 seconds. So if the longer term you can think, the better decisions you will make. I think the person who has changed my mind on this the most has been Dan Sullivan, founder of Strategic Coach. Look up every podcast, read his books, like puts a ton of stuff out there for free. And he only operates with a 25-year framework. And the first thing that he'll do with clients or when he's giving a talk is he will get you to think about the end of your life, and then he will encourage you to extend the vision in which you have for when the end of your life will be, because there's going to be technological breakthroughs, health breakthroughs over the next 25 to 50 years that will probably extend lifespans pretty drastically. So we have more time to work with than we give ourselves credit for. So let's look at what the next 10 years or the next 25 years look like, and that will free you up to actually make the decisions today to get the result that you want if you're operating with that long-term framework.
Gino,
Yeah,
hang
Jake.
on. He's saying 35-year fixed HUD loans right now. That's what he's saying. FHA 223F, man. Don't go for that 10-year term if they're giving you 3 years of IO. Get that 35 fixed. Moving on.
No, Jake, what I like about it is I've been struggling with you the last few days. We have a great educational platform, right? It's all about multifamily. But the problem is right now to try to sell education, you can't find a deal. So I'm having struggles to say, listen, I'm going to show you how to buy a deal. But there's no deals right now. But people want to buy a deal next week, like you just said, and there's that instant gratification. Well, invest in Jake and us. You're going to have this education for the rest of your life. Markets change. There's market cycles every 8 to 9 years. This market will reset itself. So for me, you've energized me because I'm struggling with.
And if you're not ready, you're not going to get ready in a week, like your college roommate there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it is a long process. It's a good 6 to 12 months of education, and then the opportunities start coming. So I'm glad you said that because I feel like a lot of people right now in the space want to go short term, want to get education, 3 months, get a deal.
It's not
and
fixing and
like
flipping,
that.
folks.
Yeah.
Right? It's not fixing and flipping. So
check this out. I recently sold a business, and one of my mentors and friends, his name is Kamal Ravikant. His brother was the founder of AngelList, and I was walking down over the bridge here in Austin, Texas, and I was telling him how much I was getting for this business deal, and it was a life-changing amount. If I don't do anything stupid, I don't ever have to worry about eating ever again, right? And I don't have to worry about where next week's paycheck is going to come from. Like I'm good if I don't do anything stupid. And I was like, Kamal, what would you invest in right now? He's a Silicon Valley investor. I'm like, what would you invest in if you were me? And he says, dude, the best thing you can invest in, regardless of what the economy is doing right now, is nothing for 6 to 12 months. I was like, why? He's like, because you're going to want to get rid of that money. You're going to be so anxious for a deal that you're going to invest in the bad ones. So normalize that cash, get used to having millions in the bank so that you're actually protective of that capital and you're not just going and buying whatever is out there. You're buying the deal that actually hurts, right? Because you're used to having the money in the bank. But it's so clear that it's worth the hurt of going into the capital reserves because you know that it's a good deal. And he was absolutely right. I'm like, I got money, where are the deals? Like, where's the apartment building? I know nothing about investing in apartments, but where's the apartment building that I'm going to invest in? Where are the next single families? I could do this, I could do this. And he was totally right. I was opportunity shopping.
We'll get you off those single families after the show too, so don't worry about those.
Hey, Jake.
I said we'll get you off those single families after the show.
Shit.
Yeah, we don't need to be doing that.
Jake,
but
you've heard me say this before. A person with money meets a person with experience, and the person with experience gets the money, and the person with the money gets the experience. So he's at a precarious level right now. He's got
Gino,
lot of
say
money.
that again a little slower because I know what you're saying, and it's just you got to hear it twice. Tell me again.
A person with money meets a person with experience, and the person with the experience gets the money, and the person with the money gets the experience. So it's a really, and I've been there because when you get loosey goosey, you got a few bucks in the bank, you're like, where am I going? I need to place this capital. Yep. But I think people who are really hard up on capital have these unique ideas and thoughts, and because they're desperate and they become creative. And when you have a little bit of too much money, you become a little bit of flabby, and you lose that hungerness. So that point is really resonates with me.
There's a resourcefulness that comes out of not
Yes.
having any resources.
Yes, I need you to list a few more of your mentors because I love Dan Sullivan, and it's just guys that you've listened to that have really affected your life. I want my community to hear who you listen to and who you follow because it's going to be really powerful for them to follow the same guys.
Yeah, so he's a little bit harder to find, but the person who I would most call my mentor is Travis Sago. Sago, Travis Sago. So he's been on the Freedom Fastlane podcast. He's been on a couple other podcasts. He doesn't publish as much publicly. I wish he would do more, but anything you can find on him, eat it up. I've learned nothing. I've learned more about life and business from Travis than any other person alive, mostly because he embodies the type of life I want to have where he has close relationships and he's really happy regardless of what his outside circumstances are. He's also taught me more about business, but mostly because he wakes up in the morning and operates from a position of peace and happiness rather than tenseness about where's my next dollar going to come from. He just operates from this
lets it flow,
mindset.
Man. Not forcing it, right?
Yeah, so he can be creative and actually do really cool things, which create more money.
How old is Travis?
I would consider him my closest mentor.
How old is he?
Travis is in his late 40s. I think he's 49.
I mean, that takes a long time to get to that spot because I'm starting to get there, and it's hard because guys in their early 30s, that's why I commend you two guys on the podcast. When you guys are really young and you guys already get it, it's really difficult when you guys are younger to get something like that because, like you said, you're always out looking for the next dollar and not really trying to build a business or try to build a band, but actually the paycheck. And that's what really, separates you guys from the majority of the population out there. Do you have any other names? I like Dan Sullivan, Travis. Anybody else that you like to follow?
I would call Kevin Nations a mentor, but he doesn't do a whole lot publicly. I used to say Robert Kiyosaki.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say that so much anymore. I don't mean to poo-poo the guy publicly on a podcast. I really like Robert, but he just hasn't said much new.
Mm-hmm.
Last decade or so, which I guess you do once you've sold 10 million books or whatever it is. You keep saying the same thing over and over. I'll tell you who I was most impressed with. We do events. We do an event called the Capitalism Conference every year in Austin, Texas. And we bring in people that are both killing it and people who are public names. So we've had Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank. We've had Grant Cardone, which is a very unique and funny experience, which I'm happy to talk about since he's a real estate guy. We brought in Peter Diamandis. But the guy that I was most impressed with and most surprised by was actually Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk backstage was the most present, calm, focused, relaxed speaker that we've had at our events. Which is weird because he has the perception of being super high energy, go, 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 hustle all the time. But there was nothing distracting him. He was absolutely present, and he was just an amazing giving person. So I wasn't sure how I felt about the man before I met him, but now I'm kind of a super fan of what he does because I've actually seen how he lives his life. And so I watch what he does because I want to embody that. Apart from those people, I'm more interested in this point in my life in watching what people actually do and not what they say. So how do the Garys of the world build an audience of 10 million people? How do the Taya Lopez's of the world, who I was friends with Ty before he had had the
Lambo and the yes.
Yeah, I was buddies with Ty, and we kind of started our businesses at the same time. The whole world knows who Ty is. What did he do differently than me? I'm fascinated by what people actually do to get results, not necessarily what they say about their results. Mm-hmm. So I'm reverse engineering their marketing strategies. I'm looking at what they're saying and how it's getting shared. I'm fascinated by Donald Trump. I'm fascinated by Trump not because I agree with most of his policies, but because of how he marketed himself and navigated waters that he had never navigated before better than all of the other 17 people who tried to compete with him. I'm fascinated by what they do, not necessarily what they say. So I kind of struggle with, like, who do I follow based on what they say? Because, frankly, I think so much of what people say is BS.
So you mentioned Cardone. Jake is a huge fan of Cardone and of Gary Vee. So what was your, I guess, interaction with Cardone? Because we had him on the show once about a year ago, and high energy guy, same kind of thing. He's got a really huge presence out there.
Yeah. Was he really energetic about saying nothing?
Yeah, I actually told, I say this story. I told him I was coming down to Jacksonville. He's like, "What are you going to Jacksonville?" This was a year ago. Now he's buying in Jacksonville. So I mean, yeah, that was sort of the gig.
Okay, so look, I'm going to piss off a lot of the Cardonians, but ask him a direct question. He'd be like, "Dude, man, this is the secret, baby. You just got to sell. And when you sell, and if you don't sell, baby, you're going to be sold. And that's it, man. I'm telling you a secret right here. Look at my socks. Sell or be sold right here. That's the secret,
That's baby. James Carville, man.
I really appreciate a lot of what Grant represents publicly. I agree with a lot of his market analysis and how he inspires people who are just starting out to do something differently.
Yep.
But we had 4 conversations before he got on stage about what his talk would be about. We were incredibly clear about what that would be. He went on stage and he made it the Grant Show and never addressed the topic. I went on stage, asked him direct questions. He wouldn't answer a direct question. And he just didn't bring the goods. So he's a fascinatingly entertaining person who I don't think has much interesting things to say in terms of what it is that you and I do.
Wow. So let me ask you, talk about that. What social media platforms do you like to use? I got a couple more questions. I could go on, but I really want to get these couple questions in. What do you like to use as far as Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn?
Yeah, so I am almost 100% on Facebook. And the reason for that is, A, I understand it. B, I can target very specifically there. My target market is there. But also, still to this day, the advertising platform on Facebook is more robust than anything else that exists. With 2 clicks, I can be in front of millions of people that are my exact demographic and get the data really, really quickly on if a message is singing or it's missing the mark. So that's the platform that I use, and it's the one that I use to develop eyeballs.
One more question for me, Ryan. I'm really impressed at how you've grown. I mean, how have you built your teams, and how have you been able to actually just sustain this growth and continue to grow?
Let me give you the one piece on hiring, the one piece on team building that I wish someone had given to me, and I've learned it through making mistakes. And it is, when you are hiring, look for someone who believes in what you're doing, someone who has done the role before, and comes with a Rolodex of people that will support their position on your team. So I like everybody. I want to root for everybody. I want to hire everybody. So the way that I filter out just jumping into bed too early is looking at those 3 things. Have they done exactly what we want in the past? Do they come with a list of people that can support their success and our success and where we're going? And are they absolutely passionate about what we're doing, to where if they need to work a weekend because we're behind, that energizes them, it doesn't depress them? Or they're willing to go the extra mile, or they will represent us well. Those are the 3 things I look for, and that's the filter that I use.
Attitude and ethics. That's what we hire on.
Attitude and ethics, but there also has to be like have you done this before, and could you predictably do it again?
See, so we're in the we're in a few different businesses, but a big focus for us is property management, right? And I actually like getting people that have not been in the property management business before, that have the right attitude and have the right ethics, and then we're able to kind of say, this is how we do it, this is our model. And a lot of times we found folks that have not been in, but we found those characters. And it's hard. Like, we hire people and I'm like, shit, they seem great. And it's because they're a good salesperson, but they're not a good employee, right? Yeah. And so it's like, we try, we've helped some students out, with interviewing and stuff before, but man, it's tough, because everyone puts on the game face, and then the proof is always in the pudding. So, but I appreciate what you said, and I don't disagree with it. But
yeah, so I've been asked now twice in the last 2 weeks about this topic, because people have said that they perceive that this is a skill set of mine, and I would consider it my greatest challenge and the next evolution of my career as an entrepreneur is learning how to hire, manage, oversee, learning where I suck and trying not to get good at where I suck and just focusing on where I'm really good, giving myself permission to bring on people who are better than me at certain things. And I think the one thing that might make me different than some of my peers is I'm willing to suck until I don't suck no more. Like, I am willing to be bad at something for the next year, because that's going to get me the 10-year result, rather than just giving up. So I know, like, this is the next challenge for me, so I might be better than some of my peers, but I'm nowhere near as good as I need to be to have the vision that I have.
Mm-hmm. I would say one thing with hiring, before we move on, is that the one thing, and I'm not bragging about this, I've had to fire a decent amount of people. I think the key is moving quickly. When you get to the point where you realize this is not a good fit, sever ties and move on, and then start the process again, because so many people hold on thinking, oh, it's going to get better, they're just having an off week. When you see the repeat offenses, just cut it and move on. You're going to go to a better place, because you're going to get the right person in the right seat and move on from that person. I think that's one of the been the things that has grown our business as quickly as it has, because we've been able to do that and said, you know what, not a good fit. And where we've got screwed before is when we've held on too long, and that's when it's become a bad situation. But anywho,
and that becomes an energy suck that gets freed up.
Oh man, it's like liberating almost. You're like, oh, we got a new great person coming in, let's do it. Yeah. Don't hold on to the bad. I love asking people what their best habit for success is. Like, I got this silly little thing, and it's really old school. Like, it's card stock. I plan literally almost every hour of every week out, and it's got goals in it. It's got what's going to get me to the goals on the top. What's something that you do on a daily or weekly basis that separates you?
Journaling. So I started journaling as almost therapy for myself. I mean, it became an irreplaceable habit. So I remember my first ever journal entry. I was going through a really hard spot. I was going through a down period in my business, a breakup, and just feeling overall like I didn't know where I was going in life. So I pulled out a journal, and I was like, all right, well, what I'm doing isn't working so well right now, so let me just try something different. And I said, this is what I wrote. The purpose of my life right now is to get up and start moving again. What that means to me is getting in shape, is shoring up business models, restoring cash flows, and building relationships again. Okay, this is my filter for all decisions that I will make for the next 6 months. And then I journaled every day about what was going on and how I was operating within that filter. Sure enough, 6 months, the purpose of my life up to that point, I was in motion again. I had opportunities again, and I was moving. So journaling became an irreplaceable habit for me to stay on track, but also just to make decisions. When I was feeling really clear, I would journal about that, because I know that 3 days later, I'm not going to feel so clear. So rather than try and make it up, I just go reference the dude 3 pages ago who was feeling really clear, and I'm going to trust that that was a good decision, and I'm going to go with that. So when I was feeling really good, I would anchor that by writing it down. So when I wasn't feeling so good, I would go read my thoughts and go, oh, right, yeah, I had this thought a few days ago. So I guess the thought that's in my head right now is BS, and I'm going to go with what I decided a few days ago. So that is my irreplaceable habit. I have every journal I've ever done, and that's like the one thing that I don't know who I'd be if I didn't do that a few years ago.
So I don't do this, and I want to try to understand it a little better. So you're taking the moments that you're operating at the highest level, and you're saying, I'm going to put those down so that when you dip, and we all dip, then you can reset and get back to that place quicker. And is that fair? Am I understanding the process?
Yeah, I do not journal like, today I woke up and this is what happened. No, I don't do that. I don't journal in the same way every day. Some pages are me drawing pictures. Sometimes it is me writing letters to myself from the future. Like, this is what happens 3 years from now. This is what I want you to know for this period of your life. I do some of my best journal entries when I'm in a plane, when I have no other distractions, and I'm just feeling really clear about my vision, and I'll write that down. Because I know 2 days later I won't feel the same way. So I'm just trying to anchor when I feel really good or when I make a really good decision.
Do you have any kind of gratitude journal also? I mean, you add gratitude in there? Because I have a little gratitude journal book, and I try to post in it every day, being thankful for this or thankful for that. But I'd love to start journaling. It's just that habit that you have to start. And once you start, you become habitual on it. It's just starting it. I love this.
I use the 5-minute journal over coffee in the morning, which just will prompt you with 3 questions what you're grateful for. But that has become such a habit for me. I don't always do it writing it down, but I try to. The first thing when I wake up in the morning and the thing that I think about when I fall asleep are the things that I'm really either jazzed about or that I'm really, I really appreciate. Because if you don't, like, when are you done? Like when do you actually enjoy what's going on? Like, we are not wired to enjoy things. We are wired to worry about things. So if we don't intentionally change that wiring, when do we get to enjoy it all? So I don't always do that on paper, but I try to think about it first thing in the morning and right before I go to bed.
I like that.
I have to take a look. I'm interested.
Well, Jake, what we can do? What we can do is we could start journaling together. We can get on Skype and just start talking, having like a mastermind just between the two of us, throwing out, you can get a partner or whatever to start doing this and actually just start thinking about ideas about your business and your vision and share it with somebody. And maybe that'll give you the kickstart, because it's always good to try stuff with somebody else and get yourself going. Just a thought.
So, Jake, I have 2 thoughts on this. The one is, just as an experiment, every day, tell someone in your life, either in your past that you haven't talked to 2 years, in 2 to 5 years, how something that they did had an impact on getting you to where you are, and see what that does for your relationships and your happiness level. And then the second thing that I would say is, sell or be sold, baby. Look at my socks. If you ain't selling, you're being sold. Sell or be sold. Check it out, baby. Grant Cardone.
The reason I'm interested in it is because I have this like reoccurring thing where we do a really good deal or we, whatever, we do a really great thing in our business, and I'm literally in the car, and it's the one time where shit shuts down and I'm like, this is effing awesome. And you're just feeling it, right?
Yeah.
That's the moment, probably because the rest of it's shut down and like my mind's actually working. And I'm like, then you have the times where it's like, man, I'm getting punched in the gut repeatedly and I'm pissed, right? So those are the times where I could pull out the thing and say, chill out. We're going to get back to this place. How did we get there? Cool. I like it.
It's NLP, baby. It's awesome. It's
so
great.
Do you know the brain science behind that?
Who are you asking, me or Gino?
So Jake, there's 3 levels to the brain, and the first level is just to survive, right? You're made for the F's, right?
What are the
Eating,
F's? Okay, got it.
Fighting, and mating. Right, the F's. And most of us, because of technology, are operating in a low level of stress all the time, so we're always in that spot where we're looking for problems. It's not until levels 2 and 3, when we pass reptile brain, that we're actually creative and we actually enjoy anything. So when we can shut that off and we go into the creative enjoyment spot, that's when we're really happy. So I try, when I'm in that spot, to anchor it so I can get back there as soon as possible. Because no one makes good decisions when they're thinking about survival. Yeah. Nobody. Unless something's chasing you, you don't make good decisions when you're thinking about your own survival.
So Ryan, would that be very similar? I went to IPEC for coaching school, and we talk about the 7 levels of energy, from the lowest level, which is victimhood, going up to anger, which is the second level. Third is responsibility, all the way up to which is like ultimate, like nirvana. Basically, you're in Yoda level. You're basically
woo-woo.
yeah up in.
We're woo-woo level.
Yeah,
Woo.
exactly.
Woo, baby.
You're resonating like Gandhi or whatever. So, I mean, it's very similar to what I was taught in coaching school. And you're right. And you get into an argument with somebody, you're resonating at that anger level, which is basically a catabolic level. You can't come up with any thoughts. 20 minutes later, you're calm and peaceful. All of a sudden, the ideas start flowing. So that's so powerful between catabolic and anabolic. I love that.
Sell or be sold, baby.
That's right.
the battle continues. Throw out a few books. You may have 1, 2, 3 that, and it doesn't have to be the Rich Dad because everyone talks about Rich Dad on the show, but something that's going to add value to someone else's life.
Yep. Let me give you some ones that you might not have heard of before. Straight Line Leadership. That's another one that's hard to get. The digital versions are everywhere. You can get a Kindle version, but actually getting a physical copy is proven difficult.
What about Audible? Because I can't read, so I need to consume it through the earphones.
Yeah, I don't think it's on Audible.
Shit.
I don't.
There's like 25% of books that I'll never get to because I had to teach myself to read. It just sucks,
then
man.
I will shift right over to my favorite audio, which is The Primal Connection by Mark Sisson. This to me is like must read for all entrepreneurs, but mostly from a brain and health perspective. Because we tend to run ourselves into the ground, this was written by an entrepreneur who was like, if you're going to work late at night, do this so you don't shut down this system. If you're going to do this so that you, and it basically is managing your brain and health to be a better entrepreneur is how I interpreted it. If nothing else,
what was it called?
The
Primal
Connection by Mark
Sisson.
So Straight Line Leadership, The Primal Connection, and I will go with The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. The basic thesis of The Slight Edge is that our lives and the results we get are in direct correlation with the habits that we practice over a long period of time rather than these big jumps and leaps. But the big jumps and leaps come, but most people are banking on them rather than building up the habits that build long-term success. But those big leaps come as the result of the right habits, not because they're manufactured. So The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. So the Straight Line Leadership, The Primal Connection, and The Slight Edge.
Very cool. Last question. What project are you excited about right now?
Look, I mean, I am most excited about the fact that I think the world is starting to realize that we are the solution to our own problems, not some other dude or girl.
You think so? I hope so, man. That would be awesome if that's the case.
So here's my thought. I think we are so frustrated with the other side that now what is the real center is saying, fine, you take power away from your side and we'll take power away from my side and we'll just actually live our lives, which is what we should be doing in the first place. So my 25-year project is developing Capitalism.com into a media empire that puts businesses on the maps and that swings election in our favor to keep government restrained, to keep entrepreneurs free, and allowing us to solve our own problems, to create our own destinies, and to create unique challenges to tough problems. That's what we're here to do. And I'm very proud that in the process, we've created hundreds of millionaires following a certain process. That's how we pay for our operations. But our mission is to be able to put businesses and messages on the map with our audience. And we're in motion for that. And that's why I do what I do.
I love the fact that you had the balls to call it capitalism.com because we were actually considering multifamily capitalist a couple of years ago when we were developing our business. And we're like, well, it's going to rub some people the wrong way because capitalism's like evil and bad. And it's not, though, but that's so, thank you. That's great.
So I'll say I knew that when I bought capitalism.com that 60% of people were going to talk shit about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why I bought the name.
Good for you.
Because as much as I dislike Grant Cardone, I've now mentioned him 4 times. Right? So we're talking about him and boosting his podcast downloads because I did not have a favorable experience with him. So the fact that we talk about things we don't like more than we talk about things that we like.
That's right.
So I bought capitalism.com, because it's the perfect blend of politics, business, and economics, my three passions. And second, because if people are upset and talking about me, great. That's exactly what I want.
And it works. And yeah, and you know why? Because the Dos Equis guy, they changed him, and I saw it on a commercial last night, and I said they effing changed him so people would start talking about it. And I just sold like 12 cases of Dos Equis. Thank you, boys. There you go.
Hey, we got to monetize. How are we monetizing that? You're not monetizing it, bro. Come on.
So, Gino, you got anything else?
There's just one thing that I wrote down. I wrote down fix and flip and multifamily, and it seems like what I pulled away from it is that's what his business is all about. It seems like a lot of his guys are trying to build a business. Ryan's fix and flip it, and you know what?
I got you. I'm sorry.
Some of the guys are trying to build a business and just flip it, and some of the guys are trying to build a long-term business, which is, I guess I can compare it to multifamily. And I think it's a fantastic strategy. I've looked at business, I guess, over the last hour a lot differently. It's really all about the numbers, really about what you want to, I guess, achieve in the very end. Have that long-term outlook, and I think that's what it really comes down to: having that long-term outlook and why you're doing it. Well,
cool. Gino's inspired. Makes my day better. Keeping the G Daddy happy.
Well, good. Sell or be sold, baby. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Ryan,
thanks, Ryan.
Next question.
Time out. G-Papa coming back in the fold. Coming back in. What we got?
I just want to say, how can people get a hold of you? I mean, we never talked about your products. I mean, I heard capitalism.com. Can they go anywhere else and look you up, your podcasts and all?
Yes. So my show on capitalism.com is called Freedom Fastlane, which you can find on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And I have put a ton of YouTube videos out under my personal name, Ryan Moran. So if you search for that or Freedom Fastlane, you can find it on YouTube or our podcast. Our programs are made specifically for people who are building, for the most part, physical products businesses or want to invest in physical products businesses. So we've built the online Shark Tank for physical products entrepreneurs. So if you want to build a business, scale a business, or invest in a business, we have programs and workshops that will help people do that, because I believe that it's the most predictable path to a 7-figure business.
Ryan,
thank you.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.